Josephine Earp earned her place in Old West history alongside Wyatt Earp. Through moves and risks, she traveled the frontier at the end of the 19th century. Still young, she left home to live in San Francisco and at 18 took to the stage. From there, her path crossed fame, travel, and encounters that would lead her to the heart of Western stories. In an Apache camp, one episode made history. Geronimo, a leader feared for his violent past, was captured and taken to General Crook. At the meeting, everything seemed decided, but in an unexpected twist, he slipped out of the soldiers' control on March 30th, 1886, leaving the military command stunned and reigniting the chase. Samantha Fallon made a name for herself in the West by running two businesses that set the town's pace. At the San Jose House Hotel, she welcomed travelers and traders. At her millinery, she shaped stories in felt. In Tombstone, Arizona, her knack for opportunity stitched hospitality and style into one entrepreneurial path that still endures. In Tombstone, the dust still tells stories. Among saloons and narrow streets, three names stand out: Wake Benj, Tad Rowland, and Jeff Lewis. They tamed hard-to-ride mounts, drew their revolvers with precision, and commanded respect. Duel after duel, they became frontier legends, figures who shaped the town's fame and echo through Old West chronicles. Apache May entered history in an unlikely way. They say John Slaughter, a Tombstone resident, found her in Mexico while tracking an Apache group. The girl had been left behind. Her parents fled in a hurry when white soldiers attacked the camp. Rescued, her life became a symbol of loss and survival on the frontier. Who was George Parsons? In Tombstone, he didn't wield pistols, he wielded a pen. By recording daily life and the clashes that shaped the town, his diary became a reliable trail to understand the Old West. Among noisy streets and famous confrontations, his notes connect facts, voices, and consequences that still echo. That's why his name remains in the spotlight. In the photograph, three Old West names line up from left to right: Tom McClory, Frank McClory, and Billy Clanton. The image has special value for bringing the only known picture of Billy. By identifying each face, the scene guides the eye, sets the moment, and preserves the memory of a frontier era. It's a meeting between memory and document. In the photo, we see Geronimo in a rare moment of truce. He poses with members of his people and officers linked to General George Crook. The meeting, on March 27, 1886, records negotiations that tried to bring years of conflict to an end. The framing freezes the tension and the bet on dialogue, revealing temporary alliances and uncertain expectations. This image marks a turning point in relations between Native peoples and the United States government. After years of tension and conflict, both sides meet, weigh their losses, and seek, step by step, a possible agreement. It doesn't close the past, but it opens the way for conversations, gestures of reconciliation, and a chance to redraw the future. On a rocky hillside, an Apache group gathers in front of the wickiup. Boys stand up front, steady, as if guarding the place's memory. Around them, the high-up hush feels like ceremony. The framing captures bonds, the passing of knowledge, and a moment of belonging before life heads down the trail and the wind erases footprints in the dust. The image shows a group of Apache people, 16 in all, men, women, and children, gathered before Fly's camera. In the back row, the men appear on horseback, while the rest are in the foreground. The composition leads the eye from back to front and suggests held-back movement, as if the moment were keeping a story still to be told. In the image, we see Geronimo and Natchez posing side by side. Next to them is Cisna, Geronimo's son, making a trio. The shot wasn't casual. The photo was taken at Geronimo's own request, a gesture that shows the symbolic value he placed on preserving that moment and the presence of the two beside him, weaving memory and leadership together. Geronimo, leader of the Apache people, stood out in the Apache Wars at the end of the 19th century. He faced the occupation of the American Southwest, leading attacks and negotiations. With mobile strategies and command of the terrain, his resistance became a symbol of the fight for land, autonomy, and ancestral memory. Even after captures, he returned to the fight. In the photograph, the Orient Saloon in Bisbee, Arizona, makes room for a hotly contested table. Around 1900, men and women crowd the felt and push their luck. Cards fly, the dealer sets the pace, and the bar's buzz hums along. It's not just a game, It was the pastime that lit up the night and drove wagers on the frontier. The Tombstone Cemetery in Tombstone, Arizona, holds stories that shaped the Old West. Among simple graves and famous names, visitors walk through traces of duels, pioneers, and miners. Tombstone, a stage for showdowns that became legend, turns the cemetery's quiet into a doorway to the memory of that time. To this day, the town lives on that heritage. In 1886, on the banks of the Nueces River in Texas, a group of Apache prisoners paused their march. They lined up beside the Southern Pacific Railway tracks under guard, while steam in the distance announced another train. The brief stop shows fatigue, tension, and the forced course of a people, shaped by the advance of the railroad and government decisions. In August 1872, the first house went up at the spot that would become Dodge City, Kansas, in the heart of the plains. Simple but decisive, it marked the start of a settlement that drew trails, trade, cattle, and the railroad. From that shelter came the base of Western communities, foreshadowing the town that would soon take shape. A frontier story began there. In 1889, at the Table Bluff Hotel and Saloon in Humboldt County, a scene comes together. A long bar, lined glasses, bottles on the shelf, lamplight cutting across dark wood. Regulars talk, the bartender watches, cards slap the table. The photo freezes that moment of warmth and noise, a vivid snapshot of everyday life in the West. In the photo, you can see the birth of the Anadarko town site. In a still empty area, the town begins to take shape as a crowd gathers in front of the lumber company's booth. There, the auction parcels out lots that lay out future streets and open space for businesses and homes, marking the first step of a community being born in real time. In 1898, the scene shows men lining up rails in Arizona. As they measure distances and fit parts, the railroad takes shape and pushes across the dry land. Every swing of a tool ties isolated towns to distant markets. From that makeshift worksite, a route is born that links the old frontier to the rest of the country. It will open paths for people, mail, and goods. In 1886, in Loup Valley, Nebraska, a family stops by their covered wagon. They've come a long way, part of the great westward migration. Heavy fabric clothes block the plains wind, hats fend off the relentless sun. As they sort what they have, they face the road ahead, weighing the risks and promises of the land waiting for them. On horseback, a group of explorers moves across the hot, treacherous rock of Navajo Mountain. The terrain demands short steps, watchful eyes, and silence to listen to the mountain. Between cracks and slick ramps, they ride in single file, driven by the hope of finally seeing Rainbow Bridge in Utah, an arch that's fueled stories and maps for ages. On the eve of Geronimo's surrender, 11-year-old Jimmy McKinn appears living among the Apache. Kidnapped in early September 1885, he adapted to the new routine so much that when the group was captured, he strongly resisted the idea of returning to his own family, a standoff that exposed bonds, fears, and choices in a time of conflict. The scene catches cowboys in Montana during calf branding. The fire hisses, hide crackles, and dust rises as the crew takes turns roping and handling. In the distance, the horizon opens unhurried over the western plains. Between routine and ritual, the work keeps a way of life alive across generations. That's where tradition meets the everyday. In 1878, the Buffalo Hide Yard in Dodge City, Kansas, showed the scale of the hunt on the Great Plains. Piles of hides covered the ground, forming rows and mounds. Accounts mention about 40,000. The silent, heavy scene summed up a booming market and the direct impact on the herds that once crossed the region. On September 14, 1904, the outlaw John Sontag fell after being shot. In the photo, he lies stretched out, still conscious, his eyes searching for air. Around him, onlookers and officers form a tight circle. Some step closer, others hesitate. The dust settles, the silence weighs, and the scene freezes the instant when the escape ends. In 1876, Deadwood in Dakota buzzes with the gold rush. The photo opens the scene, a street packed with people and goods lined with wooden buildings. Among them, cabins, tents, and hastily raised structures stand in a row. Improvisation sets the landscape, marking a settlement born to the rushed rhythm of promised fortune. In the photo, the Klondike Dance Hall and Saloon in Seattle opens a window into nightlife from another era. People gather, music plays, feet keep time, and the hall becomes a meeting point, The scene shows how these places powered the city's fun, mixing dance, drink, and talk as part of daily life. It's a vivid portrait of how popular these halls were. Corinne, Utah, 1869. The main street stretches out, dusty, lining up general stores, saloons, and wooden boarding houses. Doors bang, signs creak. Quick conversations mix with the distant sound of the railroad. Between plain facades and raised walkways, the town pulses with arrivals and departures, the promise of business, and the risks that shape the frontier. Washington, 1907. On a still dirt street, a scene that sounds unlikely today. A cow takes 7 children to school. The original caption swears that's how it was. More than a curiosity, the photo shows the improvisation and routine of a time when getting to class meant simple, shared solutions, sometimes on 4 legs. In 1895, in Woods County, Oklahoma, a group gathers in front of the small country school. In front stands the teacher. In rows, the students, some with notebooks, others with just a steady gaze. The dust on the road tells of the daily routine. The portrait fixes a beginning, to learn, to share, and to come back the next day, even when the wind blows hard. In 1871, correspondent Fred Loring stopped in front of the camera next to his mule to record a moment of life on western roads. The photo seemed to promise new trips and stories, but his path was short. 2 days later, Loring would write no more. He was killed in an Apache attack, and that image remained his last silent report. In 1889, at Point San Pedro, California, a small group of Chinese settlers set up a fishing camp. They arrived looking for work and a place to stay. Among nets, simple boats, and the tide setting the clock, they built their base. There, they began weaving trade routes and neighborhood ties, staking a presence on a frontier still opening up. In 1892, on a reservation, the Shoshone people gathered at dusk. The circle formed, footsteps marked the ground, drums set the rhythm, and voices told stories of ancestors. Every gesture celebrated collective memory, uniting families, strengthening bonds, and passing knowledge to those arriving so the culture would stay alive the next day. Arizona, 1893. In the middle of the desert, Apaches and settlers cross paths. Instead of conflict, an agreement comes together. The tribe brings hay to the settlements, rare feed for animals and people, easing the newcomers' scarcity. The quiet, decisive gesture makes room for coexistence and reminds us that cooperation also shapes frontiers, and it leaves a trail of mutual respect. In 1900, in Langtree, Texas, Judge Roy Bean's office wasn't just a courthouse office. It also worked as a saloon where the law mixed with the clink of glasses. Bean became famous for bold rulings shaped by life on the frontier. If you like this story, we've reached the end of the video. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to follow the next ones.